Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to go through what's in my camera bag. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because some of the items like SD cards and things like that are kind of boring, but I just want to primarily show you the bag that I use and the camera gear that I've got inside it. And so without wasting any more time, let's just get right into it. So this is the bag that I use. This is the Lowepro. It's the 250 AW version number 2. So it's not like the most fancy bag. It's not one of your peak designs that everyone seems to be rocking. But the reason I like this bag is because I have a lot of camera gear and I needed something that is, you know, comfortable to wear, but is also big enough to carry quite a lot of gear. So this is the bag that fit the bill, and that's why I purchased it. So let's get right into what we have. So in the top section here, there's a lot of pockets. Usually what I keep in here is like equipment to clean my camera sensor, so like a blow filter and other miscellaneous items. There is a top compartment here. Inside this top compartment I've got flashes and whatnot. So I've got 2 of them because, like I said, I shoot multiple systems. And I have got these Godox triggers. So I've got 3 of them because I use 3 different systems. I've got a lens pen to clean out the lenses when they get dirty. I've also got spare batteries for all the different systems that I shoot in here, as well as some SD cards for all the different systems. So that's what's in the top compartment. And then down here is the main compartment. So opening this up, in here I would keep more miscellaneous items, but like I said, we're not going to go in through that because that is the boring stuff. Let's just get right into the main compartment and see what camera gear I carry. Alright, so I'm first going to speak about the camera bodies that I carry, and then we can talk about the lenses. So the very first body that I carry is my trusty old Sony A7III. The reason I purchased the A7III is when I decided I wanted to pursue professional photography as a part-time job. What I needed was obviously something very reliable. At the time I was shooting the Nikon D3400 and it was a perfect camera, but at that time I felt like in order to better my work, I wanted to go full frame, just as many photographers feel. So the first camera I purchased was the Sony A7 II, which I loved a lot, but for those of you who have shot that camera, the autofocus is a little slow and the battery life is terrible, and it has only 1 single card slot. So that's why I purchased the A7 III when it came out. And yeah, I love this camera. It has very fast and reliable autofocus. It has got a really good battery, massive battery, and it's got the 2 card slots. So this is my go-to camera of choice for my professional photography. So I've also got the Canon EOS RP. Now the question is, why didn't I go for the R? The reason being is when I was looking to jump into the Canon system, I didn't want to dive all in, right? I wanted to start off with something and see what this color science stuff that everyone talks about when it comes to the Canon system. So I thought the best entry into the Canon system was to go for the RP. It's a very affordable full frame camera, 26 megapixels, and it does very well. And spoiler alert for if you haven't watched my Canon RP review, which may or not be out depending on when I post this video, but I am working on that review at this point in time. This camera is extremely underrated. It does have its flaws, like it's not the greatest in low light if you are trying to underexpose and then bring up the shadows, but other than that, this camera for photography is damn near perfect. The colors are really good, and it has slowly become my studio camera. So I do a lot of in-studio work for my photography, and I find that I am grabbing this more often than the Sony, simply because when I shoot with this camera, I find that it takes me a shorter amount of time to go from the raw file to edited pleasing file for me than it would with the Sony. The Sony is extremely versatile and I can get whatever I want from it, but sometimes it takes a little longer, whereas when I shoot with this camera, the files that come out of it, it gets me to where I want to be a lot faster. And the autofocus is actually very good. The lens support, I use EF lenses. The lens support is great. So I would say for anyone who's really starting off in photography and you're not really looking to dive all in, but you want to start off in something full frame, this is the camera to go for, the Canon EOS RP. Very affordable, and you can get very, very, very good professional results out of this. So this is a great camera. And then the last camera that would typically go into my bag, which is not currently in my bag, is obviously the camera that I'm shooting with. And so that is the Fuji XT3. And as you can see, I have 3 different systems right now. Why do I have 3 different systems? Well, they all serve a different purpose for me. So obviously, like I said with the Sony, this is my all-around professional photography camera for all situations, and I like it a lot. The RP has now become my quote-unquote studio camera. And then the Fuji X-T3 is my personal camera, as well as my camera for shooting these YouTube videos. When it comes to my personal pictures, I want my workflow to be as easy and painless as possible, and this is why I picked up the X-T3. I shoot it in complete JPEG. The colors that come out of the JPEGs are really good. I shoot it, and then I automatically transfer it over to my iPhone or my iPad using the Fuji Connect app. Now, in regards to the lenses that I have for all 3 systems, you will notice that I've got a 50 for all 3 systems, a 50 equivalent, and something on the long end. So the 50 that I've got for the Sony system is the Zeiss 55 1.8. This is an extremely great lens. It was my first lens for this Sony system. It's extremely fast. It's extremely silent. The results are very, very pleasing. And I would say if you're a prime shooter and you wanted to have only one lens for the Sony system, this is the lens to get. Unfortunately for me, this lens, I might be selling it. The only reason is because of all the gear that I have, I really find that I'm not grabbing this lens that often, and it was pretty expensive. So might as well give it to somebody else that is going to make great use of it and recuperate what I paid for this. So in future videos, you may not see this lens anymore because as great as it is, I have a lot of gear, and like I said, I don't find myself picking up this lens that often, so it makes sense to get rid of it at this point in time. The next lens that I have for the Sony system is, to no surprise, if you've watched my reviews or you know anything about Sony shooters, we all have the Tamron 28-75 lens. This lens is extremely versatile, and this is the reason why I don't pick up the Sony Zeiss that often. It's because this lens is extremely sharp, light, portable. It's got a great zoom range from 28 to 75, 2.8. It has very professional results. It's very affordable. Like, if there was one zoom lens to have for the Sony system, this is it. And like I said, if I was going to only shoot one system for the rest of my life, it would be Sony, and it would be because of this lens. For a 2.8 professional lens, this is very affordable. It's like $1,000 less than all the equivalent to 24-70 lenses on other systems. And so I love this lens a lot, and yeah, I probably will never get rid of this. This is my quote-unquote telephoto lens for my Sony system. Now, when it comes to the Canon, I shoot the 50, nifty 50. I think if you jump into full frame, even APS-C, most people gravitate to this lens as their first pickup after they've picked up their body. And it's a great all-arounder. It's a 50 1.8. It was like $130 here in Canada, and it gets really pleasing results. It's not the most expensive lens, but if you know how to use it, you can get really, really great results. And so that is the 50 that I have for the Canon. And then the telephoto that I've got for the Canon is the Canon 85 1.8. Once again, this is not an L series lens, so it's not the most professional lens out there, but the results from it are extremely good and extremely pleasing. It's not the sharpest lens in the world, but it's sharp enough. And I find that for portrait photography, you don't want the sharpest lenses ever, because when the lenses are too sharp, it, enhances all the blemishes on individuals, and nobody likes that. So if you get something that's slightly softer, then it saves you a lot of post work, and this lens is perfect for that. All right, so that is that. Now, when it comes to the Fuji system, the 50 equivalent that I have is actually the Viltrox 33mm 1.4. That's a fantastic lens. I'm going to make a review on it pretty soon, but I just got it not too long ago, so I'm still in the process of testing it. What I can say about it is that it's really good. I'm using it right now to shoot this video, and it's a very great lens compared to the 35mm 1.4 from Fujinon. This lens is like 99% as good as the Fuji equivalent at less than half the cost. So it only made sense that I picked up this lens. Here are a few pictures that show what this lens can do. It's a fantastic lens. I like it a lot, and that is my 50 equivalent. Now my 85 equivalent, to no surprise of anyone, is the Fujinon 56mm 1.2 lens, right? And I've got a fancy lens hood on this. I like this lens a lot. Here are some results that I've taken with this lens. Again, I've not shot a lot of my professional work with this Fuji, so I don't have a lot of examples, but what I can say is that of all the 50 millimeters, including the new 50mm 1.0, the 56 1.2, and the 50 f2 by Fuji, as well as the Viltrox 56 1.4, I would say of all those four lenses, this would be the best one, just because of its 1.2 aperture and the results are pretty sharp. The 50 1.0 that was just recently announced would get you a lot faster focusing, but I find that the results in the end are pretty comparable to this. So save yourself about $800 and go with this lens as opposed to getting the 50 1.0. That is just my personal quick take on that matter. But anyways, that is pretty much everything that I keep in my camera bag. I also have some flashes and strobes and things like that. Oh, one more thing. There's a back compartment to this bag. So in here, I keep my MacBook 13-inch. This is the brand new 2020 with the M1 chip. If you know about computers, you know about that. As well as there's a compartment for my iPad. So that's what I keep in the back here. But anyways, that's everything that's in my bag. I want to thank you for watching this video. One more thing I want to say is that none of this gear matters if your skills are not there. So when you jump into photography or videography, you want to really work on your storytelling abilities as well as your skills, because no matter how much gear you get, your content is not going to be great unless you work on your skills. It's not the gear that matters. The gear makes it easier. It's more so your skills that matter. But thank you very much for watching this video. Hope it was entertaining, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.